Hey guys, it's me again. As you can tell, I got a better mic, so you're not gonna hear funny stuff in the background. If you suddenly hear me stopping, it's because the Windows Movie Maker that I use to narrate is being really funny. Sometimes it'll stop my narrating like 20 seconds after I start, and I record it for 3 minutes. Sometimes it'll add like 50 seconds onto narration that I didn't even do, so it's pretty weird. So anyway, I'm going to continue my story, though I don't understand why everyone likes it. It's very weird, very poorly written. Oh well, so we'll continue from where we were last time. Hopefully we'll get through the prologue. So yeah, let's start. The wind howled to the dark night, and the boat began to rock back and forth and back and forth. I heard a sudden knock on my door, and suddenly Brock burst into my room. "Miss, you gotta get in a lifeboat. If this boat goes down, we'll get sucked down along with it." I cocked my head. "What? I thought... Ever heard of the Titanic?" He began to pull me off the bed. "If you don't want to die, then we have to get you into the lifeboat." I was about to say that I would die in the storm, with the waves crashing over me, but he didn't give me a chance to speak as he pushed me out the door. "I'm sure you know how to use a lifeboat, miss." Brock held tightly onto my arm, and the pressure made my arm feel like jelly. He forced me to keep up, and my legs were beginning to feel light from running so fast. It seemed to take ages before we reached the lifeboats, but we eventually got there. The storm hadn't let up at all. In fact, I could have sworn it got worse. Brock pushed me into a lifeboat and began giving me instructions. I couldn't hear him over the howling wind and lightning. The next thing I knew, the boat was in the water, and I was on my way to who knows where. As I continued farther and farther away from the boat, I noticed that the waves began to climb higher and higher. It scared me half to death. Wouldn't you be scared if you were in a little fishing boat in the middle of the ocean? A big white flash caught my attention as I noticed the boat I had just escaped was beginning to sink. It must have got hit by lightning, I thought. Poor Brock, I gotta try and save him. I started searching the boat frantically for a paddle, and after that all I remember is a sudden wave crashing on my boat, and I blacked out. The sun shone brightly in the sky, and the waves crashed against the shore. The beach was a white color, but all of them were like that. I hadn't woken yet, but I was almost 100% sure I was dead. It was hard to open my eyes. The light stung them. I didn't really understand why. Finally I was able to open them a little bit, and I saw a dark figure standing above me. I couldn't see who it was, of course. The figure was just dark. "You all right?" He sounded gruff and harsh, almost mean-like, but kind at the same time. I didn't answer at first, feeling too weak at the moment, but I was able to get out. I don't know." I heard another set of footsteps approaching, and the figure in front of me suddenly vanished, like a ghost. I knew he'd probably just run off. But who was he? "Hey, you!" Another man called out from far away. "Are you all right?" His voice sounded worn. He held a cane, and his head was bald. He looked like he was maybe 60 or 70 years of age. The man came closer until he was leaning down. "Hey, miss, you all right?" he asked once again. I sat up slowly and rubbed my hands against my eyes. The sun was bright, a little too bright for my liking. "Yes, sir, I think I'm all right." He stuck out his hand. "How many fingers am I holding up?" I squinted at his hand. "3? Yep, nothing's wrong with you." He stuck out his hand and helped me up. "I'm Taro, by the way. I live on the island, and as you can see from here," he pointed east, "there's a village just up ahead." I glanced over towards where he was pointing, and sure enough I saw small buildings. But one thing surprised me. There were no people. Where are the people?" I turned my gaze back to Taro. "A village isn't a village without people." Taro looked back over me. "Oh, there's people, just not as many as we'd hoped." He began to lead me away from the beach. "There's me and my daughter, Felicia. She has kids about your age, Elliot and Natalie. They're both really hard workers, and it's a blessing that they're living with us. Next, Taro!" I heard a voice call from far off. I turned to see a blonde-headed girl running to us, with a big smile on her face. "Who's this?" "This is... oh, why, I don't recall. I never asked her name." They were both now looking at me with a curious expression on their face. "Chelsea. My name's Chelsea." I looked down to the ground. "I was heading to the city when a storm hit my boat. I guess I got washed up on the beach here. Julia smiled. Where are you going? Of course, I was a little annoyed. I just told her that. Psh, that's okay. This city, I want to be a farmer, but I had to go to school to study. I looked back up at Taro, who had a big smile on his face. A farmer, eh? He looked over at Julia. You can be our farmer. We need one. It's the only way our village is going to grow any bigger. Yeah! Julia put her hands on my shoulders. Then we can be friends, and I can help you. Just pausing for a minute. I know Julia sounds funny, but I wanted to make her sound stupid, and I know my voice is... I'm not good with voices, but that's okay. So anyway, unpausing and moving right back along. I laughed. No, it's okay. I don't want to intrude. But I insist. He laughed. Sunshine Islands needs a farmer anyway. I paused. Sunshine Islands was headed here after this city. I rubbed my neck. I guess I'm stuck here for now. Might as well become a farmer. Who knows, I might like it and not need to leave. I smiled. Sure, why not? Julia squealed. Yay! She looked over at Taro. Have you showed her around yet? I was just doing that when you... I can do the rest! She pulled me towards a barn-like place. Guys, I'm gonna stop with Julia's voice. I actually think it sounds weird, but you get the gist of how she's like, right? Get the gist and all that. Taro shook his head slowly. All right, just bring her to my house when you're done. And with that, Taro turned around and wandered down the pathway. Julia brought me into what looked like a shop or some kind of shop. There was a counter on the left and some animal stuff against the wall in front of me, so I assumed that it was an animal shop. An overweight lady with orange hair and blue apron opened the door and walked in. She stopped walking when she closed the door and saw us standing there. Julia turned around and smiled brightly. Hey, Mirabelle, this is Chelsea. She's going to be our new farmer. I didn't say anything, and I started to look down. My nerves once again were getting the best of me. A new farmer! Well, that's a relief. I was starting to wonder how we were going to sell our animals. She laughed. Enough of my blabbering. You look like you could use a meal. Come and sit down. I'll make you something. I blushed. No, I really couldn't, but I insist. She smiled and walked off into the kitchen. Mirabelle's a kind lady. The door leading to outside opened once again. In walked a man with black hat, which covered his gray hair. Actually, it's silver, but who cares? He wore a cowboy suit, and his expression on his face indicated he was a little grumpy. Vaughn! Julia exclaimed. I would like you to meet Chelsea. She's going to be our farmer. I didn't look up at him. I kept my focus on the table, but Julia didn't seem to like that. Chelsea, come on, say hi. I looked up at him and bluntly said, hi, like I said before when I got nervous. I don't really talk that much. Vaughn didn't smile. His expression stayed like it had before. Hi. He didn't sound impressed. Not that I expect you'll be here long. Vaughn, be nice. She just washed up on the beach from last night's storm. His eyes widened, but the expression yet again didn't change. Oh. I looked down once again towards the table. Oh, didn't you see last night's storm? It was a hurricane. Can't you act a little concerned for someone besides yourself? Someone. That's funny. I said someone instead of someone. That's hilarious. It's so funny. He paused for a moment. I didn't think he was going to say anything. No! With that, he walked off towards the bar in the back and went inside. As you can see, he's a little nastier than most stuff, but that's okay. Just then, Mirabelle came back. I made curry. I hope you like it. She placed it on the table, and I began to eat slowly. Julia, has Vaughn come back yet? Julia frowned. Yeah, and he wasn't exactly cherry. I don't know what I'm gonna do about him. Mirabelle sat herself across from me at the table and sighed. I'm sorry about Vaughn, Chelsea. He's unfortunately one of the few who doesn't have a cheery attitude. But it can't be helped. She trailed off. Hopefully one day things will change, but for now he'll just stay that way. I thought about the words Mirabelle had told me. I was shy and quiet, I guess like Vaughn, but I wasn't rude or anything. I sat on the stool at my table, which Vaughn had given me. It was a large piece of land, but the farmer's land, so I wasn't surprised at the size. Of course, this was a while later, like at nighttime. I hadn't really hoped in starting a farm so early, but Taro insisted, and I wasn't going to refuse. I began asking myself something. Why was Vaughn so grumpy? I mean, shouldn't everyone smile once in a while? I shook my head at myself. If you ever answer those questions, it will be a miracle, right? Why? Because I'm way too shy. So that's the basic prologue. I'm sorry this thing was like 10 minutes long, but that's okay. I wanted to start narrating. By the way, guys, chapter 17 is up. I hope you think that's awesome, because I think it's awesome. So here's the author's note at the end. I apologize for the horrible writing. I can get choppy when I rush things. I write the story as I go along because it unfolds that way. I also apologize for being short. So yeah, please review and rate, and I hope you will continue reading. You can review and rate stuff on this. It's really cool. So yeah, I'll start chapter 1 in the next video. Thanks for listening, and yeah, see you in the next part.